What I've noticed from studying the void and the crumble and the chaos is that there's this really interesting and cute little thing that the universe, God, or angels and guides do for us to guide us in that experience. And so as I'm reflecting on kind of exiting, so right now in Ireland here with my babies, I've been here for an unexpected amount of time, in an unexpected way, and very much a void. I've been in my broken down van living in a hay barn for like 3 months of this experience, and then staying in a house like the other month. And so as I've been looking for the exit from this void, I've been kind of, sitting in my Irish monk state. And that's what we do in the void, is we have to find a surrender state. We have to find our sovereignty. We have to find our center. And then the thing starts coming to us that will guide us out. And so as I've been observing this, that thing that often comes to guide us out is not always the actual end result. And so it's almost like a come over here. And then you go over there and your attention goes over there and your energy goes over there. And then your angels and guides are like poof. And that thing just disappears. And oftentimes we can be like, well, why was I even led down that route, that thought? What comes to mind with this is like and so what I've also noticed is that this happens before the void too. It happens in the crumble. In quantum manifestation, when you're intentionally trying to timeline leap, we're going to always be quantum manifesting whether we realize it or not. We make inner choices based off of our patterns and our beliefs about ourselves and our worth and our potential. And when you're intentionally choosing what you desire, then you're stepping outside a bit of your conditioning and you're challenging that, and you're taking bigger leaps. And so when I was in a relationship for like 4 years, I was really at the end feeling, okay, it's time to exit this. And we had tried couples therapy. We were trying, to fix it, even though in my heart, I knew it was over. I knew it was the end, and I knew that I had to move on to the next thing in order to actually heal my body in the way that I needed to heal, in order to just live the life that I needed to live. But there's a part of me that just would not make the decision and was having a hard time making that decision. And so then naturally my angels and guides started doing the thing of this, because in my like full moon ceremonies, I was choosing, I wanted a van, I wanted to travel Europe, I wanted a dog, a doodle. I didn't know that Kangles were a thing yet. But I had written in my notes app, one time I must have come across an Anatolian Shepherd. And I asked them in California, what kind of breed is that? And they're an Anatolian Shepherd. And I wrote it in my dog name app or notes app. And I have like hundreds of potential dog names, and it could be any animal. And then I had three dog breeds that were potential dog breeds that I wanted. Anatolian Shepherd was one of them, but I had forgotten that that was like a part of that list. And so when it all came to be that I had a Kangal being offered into my life, I was like, wow, they're pretty much the same breed. So I guess a part of me did know. But anyway, and I guess part of me did choose that. And so then we flew to this timeline. And so I was doing that in my ceremonies. I was choosing, that was the timeline that I wanted. So naturally the relationship had to fall apart because it did not fit. Like him and I actually tried to look for vans together. We tried to like merge our lives together. We talked about going to Europe together and traveling Europe, but he had an office job and he was moving up in his company, and like he just kept getting promotions, which was wonderful, and like that was his timeline, but that was hindering what I wanted. And so we were like looking at vans and like trying to talk about how he could fit his suits into the van and like how we could park close to his office. And I was like, well, that's not really like the van life I'm envisioning. And so it was never going to work. And so as that was like starting to crumble, the relationship, the universe, angels, guides, God, it was doing this a lot, and it gave me an opportunity at this company that seemed so great. Yeah, I'm seeing how this whole message is coming together. It seemed so great. It was an organic, I think it was organic. It must have been organic or like all natural, non-toxic wine company, which I wasn't, I'm not like a huge wine drinker, and I don't know much about wine at all, but I was super excited to learn and to do their marketing. And so I had gone through this interview. I think they found me, or maybe I found them, but they were in Sonoma, which I grew up in Northern California. I really liked that area, and so I was gonna move there, and we were interviewing for like, it was like a 3-month process. And so I was really focused on this, getting really excited about this, looking at homes there. And I was telling him, I was like, well, you know, maybe this is how we split. It's like, I'll move there and you could stay here in this home. And for the first time, I was like really starting to like choose me, you know. I was like getting excited about something that was for me, rather than we were living in that part of California for him. We were kind of all about him. We moved specifically there for his job, and so I was like really shifting into that energy that I needed to be in order to choose me, in order to come into alignment with the life that I truly desired. And so they even in this job interview, they even said that they were really dog friendly. You can bring your dog to work and all this stuff. And so that's why when I was looking at, can you see him? When I was looking at Arlo on Facebook, and I was, sorry, I always get like I'm very stuffy in the morning here in this house. I'm quite sensitive, and so please ignore that. Brain retraining helps a lot, but right when I wake up is when I have to do it. And so I've been trying to figure out my timing of like doing that, getting fresh air, going on my walks really helps too, getting the fresh air and like focusing on my future time myself. But I've been changing it up because of my puppy and his energy. So Arlo, when I saw his face on Facebook while I was going through that breakup, while I was in that job interview, that job had told me that I could have a puppy. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm moving to Sonoma. I'm going to work for this non-toxic organic wine company, and they're great. I'm gonna bring my dog into the office, and like I'm gonna officially like finally break up with my boyfriend, and we're gonna come to an end. And I had made all these choices, all these decisions that were the right decisions for me, but the job was not actually the job for me. I finished the last interview, and we like did a little happy hour thing together, and it went well, and I liked the team, and we got on, and you know, it was all great. And I was like, this is such a cool company. I've never worked for a company like this. And then I didn't hear from them, and maybe they just didn't like me, who knows. But I didn't hear from them, and then a little while later, because I was trying to figure out, like, we were moving out of our apartment at that point and getting ready to end it, because also at this time our landlord had told us that she's selling the place. And so I was like, well, I don't know where I'm going. Like, am I going here? Am I going somewhere else? And so I had messaged them, and they said, actually, we don't have the marketing budget or we don't have the budget for this marketing position, and so we can't fill it right now. And I was like, oh, wow, I got a puppy, broke up with my boyfriend. But it all, again, it was all meant to be. It led me to exactly the timeline that I was meant to go to. However, in that moment, it was very uncomfortable, because right when we had to move out of our place, I was newly single. I had a maniac. He was the craziest puppy I ever had or ever met. I love him to death, but he was insane. Loved to bite, like was slicing my hands open more than any other puppy before, because he's Australian Shepherd. They're very mouthy. And so I was just like really going through it. I went back to stay with my mom for 3 weeks, but at that time I didn't know how long it would be. And so I was just kind of in a bit of a dark place. I was in like a very raw place. Like, I didn't feel so dark. I just felt like raw. as you do when you first enter the void. When I first got here to Ireland and my van broke down, like, I don't know if I ever actually shared that vlog, but getting here was insane. It was insane. I had packed my whole van. I had talked with my therapist before leaving Italy, and we decided that she helped me decide that I was going to bring all my stuff from Italy. Like my glamping tent, which is huge. It's like a 4x6 meter glamping tent. It had a lot of furniture and stuff in it. And so I packed my entire van like full to the brim. And with him and with Duchess had not figured out the Duchess is my cat. She had not figured out the litter box yet. So on day 1 of the trip here, it was like it was supposed to be 3 nights, I think, 3 or 4 nights driving here from Italy. And first, Duchess peed in my bed. And if you've ever smelled cat pee, it was horrendous. We were all driving in there, sleeping in there, full time in there, and it was so packed. I had to like climb through a little tunnel to get to my bed. And on my bed, it was cat piss. It smelled so bad. And then it was like no air back there either. But like that was the sleeping arrangement. And then on day 2, Aslan was just a 4-month-old puppy, and he ran through the little tunnel in the morning to wake me up to say, "Mommy, I have to pee." But he was just such a puppy, he peed. And so my mattress, everything was just disgusting. It was intense, and it was really difficult. And then my van started breaking down as I was getting closer to the ferry, and I could feel it. And so I stopped my van I made it to the coast of France, 5 minutes from the ferry, stayed the night there, and I was like, I think I have one more drive available, but I was like, I really want to go do laundry. I'm just telling you guys the story. I'll get to the point that I think it's important to share this. It's interesting, at least. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe I just have one more drive left. I just need to get to the ferry, and then I'll get my van fixed in Ireland. But I was like, I don't want to arrive to Ireland with this cat piss and dog piss. And so I tried to find a laundromat. And look how divine this is. Tried to find a laundromat. I could not find the laundromat. I'm driving in circles in this like shopping center looking for the laundromat. And I just had given up pretty much. So I pulled into a parking spot and I stopped and I turned the van off. And I pulled into the parking lot of the Renault. My van is a Renault, and then when I went to go turn it on, it broke down. I broke down at the Renault, which is just wild, right? And so it was all very divine timing, even though that was another one of these things. I think this is why this message is just so connected. So I was having one of those because I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, angels and guides. You brought me to the Renault. They're gonna fix my van. It's gonna be great. I have like 6 hours until the ferry. Maybe I'll even find this laundromat that's just nowhere to be found. And so I go in, and they were like, no, pretty much like, no, we can't help you. We don't have time, and blah, 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 blah. And you'd have to stay here, wait here another week or so until we could really see you. And so then I FaceTimed my friend, and my friend kind of told me what it could be. And so I walked, even though I was injured and I could barely walk at this point. And I walked to the nearest like car places, and I got the fluid that I thought it should be. And I was under my van. I was like trying to do a bleed, like sucking on a straw, and I was doing the damn thing. It was not working. They ordered me a tow truck, which was nice and divinely at least orchestrated that way. Got onto the ferry, and when I arrived to Ireland, I was towed to a mechanic shop. They were not able to see me for a while, so I lived in the mechanic shop for the weekend, a 3-day weekend, until the mechanic came in with my animals in this cat piss, dog piss. I never got to do laundry, and injured. And then I got food poisoning on the first day being in Ireland, sleeping in the mechanic's parking lot, which was brutal. The nearest anything that there was a gas station, so and it was just my limit of walking, so I could walk there maybe 2 or 3 times a day. So I would go there for everything, and they were probably like, who is this girl? She probably smells like cat piss. And I tell you all this because it was raw. It was vulnerable. It was hard. I was thrown into this void intensely, very intensely. And it was, you know, so much that it shook me and it broke me, similar to that breakup and how that happened and how I was thrown into living with my mom for a little bit. And I just kind of, in a way at that time, I felt, you know, not like a failure, but I just felt like, you know, I was doing something wrong. Like I just, you know, I had made a wrong turn. And when I got here, I also felt like maybe I had made a wrong turn. I was like, why did I leave? I was feeling all these things like, why did I leave my life in California? Why did I choose such a hard path? Why did I do van life? What, you know, all these things. And had I seen at those times what was ahead in front of all these hopeful moments, I would have, you know, I would have been able to make it through those much easier. But I also have always kind of had, like the past 10 years at least, this really strong anticipation that everything is always happening for me and always going to work out for me, even in the intensity, even in the confusion, even in the darkness. And so, you know, I had asked people had asked me like, how are you doing? Like when I was with food poisoning and like really in that in that confusion, like where I was like, I don't know if the van's gonna get fixed. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just arrived to this foreign land, even though it's like where my dad's from. It's still, I've never lived here. And so it was just in that moment I was like, well, actually, I feel like really good things are about to happen. Like I really do, as I'm like limping and like so sick and like have no color to my face and like headed to my gas station. And what had happened here is like I didn't expect that after that. I thought for sure the mechanic would fix it, but they didn't. So I had to tow it across Ireland to my family farm. And I lived on the family farm for months and alone in the hay barn with my animals. And it was, you know, it wasn't actually uncomfortable. It was just the void. It was, you know, everyone's like, how are you going to get out? How are you going to get out? And I knew that the universe was going to plant the thing in my mind and my heart that would get me out and would open the door for me to get out. When I had broke up with my boyfriend and gone to my mom's place and gone through that crumble, I was at my mom's place for this indefinite amount of time. And then I had a friend randomly send me a listing on Facebook that opened up the apartment that I then moved into with Arlo. And so it was in Orange County where I loved living and all my friends were and all this stuff. So I moved there and I met someone, I moved in with a girl who became like my soul sister. I love her. I felt like we were like connected for many lives and we were meant to be together. Even though that wasn't an ideal apartment, we ended up having to leave it because it was kind of dangerous there, which was surprising in Orange County. But then we moved into my dream house and we moved into it together and it was like ocean view, canyon view, huge, beautiful, in this wonderful place in California, and it was perfect. And so that was the progression of that crumble and void. And here in Ireland, it's been that too. And as I've been, so there's these moments as you enter the void, and then there's been these moments as I have been exiting the void. I talked about how the baby horse was offered to me where, so on the farm in Italy that I've been living on, the owner of the farm had offered this baby horse to be my baby horse to train and raise and bring up if we bonded, because I had lost my baby horse earlier this year. And so I was like, wow, that's so wonderful. That really pushes me and opens the door, makes me feel like I'm meant to go to Ireland. And so I had received a text message that really like was pushing me out of Ireland and onto the next thing. And then I'd received this text message that was, you know, offering me the thing that I thought was pulling me to Italy. And I was like, here's my exit. And I had gotten the download of Dream Life Sleep Hypnosis. And I was like, wow, this is my part of my life's work, my life's purpose. If you want to join it, it's my most popular program I've ever created. It's the most powerful subconscious work that I've ever done for myself. As soon as I started doing it is when I started like massively exiting this void. My appearance changed. My, you know, online stuff started doing really well. Like my Instagram, I've gained nearly 20,000 new followers, and it's not like a vain thing. It's like this is my life's work, is being on social media and teaching and learning and teaching. On TikTok, I went from like 3,000 to 13,000 or almost 14,000. And so it's like I haven't changed anything really about my message or about how I'm showing up. It was just my energy shifting. And so Dream Life Sleep Hypnosis, I think, is like incredibly powerful. It's going to be really part of my life's work, and we're taking it to the next step with the new thing that I'm going to be launching soon. So I have that linked below as well if you want a little sneak peek at what that could look like. And so I was thinking, okay, baby horse taking me out, taking me back to Italy. That's where the universe is guiding me out of this. Here's the thing. It looks so right. The timing was so perfect. And then at the same time, the mechanic here, a new mechanic that I had found, told me, yeah, I can fix it. I can get it in 24 hours, no problem. And then they take it in, and I come into this house for a little, for 24 hours, I thought. And it's been 10 days, and he's just taking his sweet time. And part of me, if I wasn't awake to this process, I would be like, screw him, he's such a slow mechanic. But the other part of me is like, oh, there's something else that needs to enter my field. And so I'm in a little bit of a waiting period. And that's what happened with, guys, this new adventure. It's going to be so new. I'm so excited to take you on this journey, and it's so unexpected, but I'm really excited. And so I saw the photo. I told you guys in a few videos now. I saw a photo of Hawaii, and someone had posted a photo of Hawaii, and I was like, wow, that's beautiful. That's like where my heart, I'm getting that like yes feeling as a generator, and that like in my heart yes feeling. But I was like, well, it's not Hawaii. Like I'm not moving to Hawaii right now with my animals. Aslan can't be 2 seconds away from me. He could definitely not be in a crate right now under the plane. And so I was like, that's not going to work. I was like, well, then what is it? Closed it and just waited for the thing to show up of what it would be. 10 minutes later, open Instagram, there's a photo of my friends in Portugal, and it looked very similar to that Hawaii photo. I know Portugal and Hawaii look very different, but in this photo it was very similar. And Madeira, that island actually looks quite like Hawaii, but I don't know that I want to do that kind of island life. I'm actually super called to Ibiza, and so I think maybe one day, I don't know, I'll go visit at some point. I like the energy there, even though I've never been there, but I've learned a lot about it, and it's been calling me for years now to go there. I know it's very party, but it's also very spiritual, and there's a lot of like wellness stuff there as well. So anyway, I saw this photo of Portugal, and then I found a place to rent that seems like it could maybe work out. Maybe it's another one of these. And so I've been craving a home life. I've been telling you guys I've been craving a fireplace. I've been craving a bathtub. This place has all that. And so yeah, now my van went back into the shop today. I have a call with this guy about the apartment today, and things are starting to fall into place. So all this to say that we will make our life much more, I want to say peaceful, because suffering in a way is inevitable, right? And that's part of the human experience, is this idea of separateness, is like this belief of separateness is like the main cause of the suffering that we experience. And so along with that, I think part of the suffering that we cause for ourselves is getting attached to outcomes because we want to be like saved. We want to get the money, get the love, get the health, and finally be saved. But it's important to remember that your higher self, your infinite being that you truly are, came to earth to experience this contrast, to experience this confusion, to experience this contrast of lack and disease and unworthiness and all these illusions, so that you could just go on that journey of remembering. And then it's like a little leap of time, and then you go back to the home and the infiniteness that you are. And so we're here for the ride. One of my favorite examples is from the book Existential Kink, and she talks about how when you're watching a movie, and I've said this a million times if you guys watch my videos all the time, but when you're watching a movie, it's a projection screen, and you're in the movie theaters, there's a projector on the projector screen. If there was no contrast, then you would just be watching bright white light on the screen. But we need the shadows, we need the contrast in order to see the movie, in order to see the experience. And so we're here to experience living in the broken down van with the cat piss and the dog piss and food poisoning and in a foreign land and like all this stuff, right? That's the adventure that my higher self was like, yes, sign me up. I don't know if that was exactly a soul agreement, but it could have been, or at least it was decided on the other side by my divine team. And so by removing our attachment to how it's going to happen, we allow it to be way more peaceful. Like at that time, I had definitely got really attached to the wine company working out because I felt like it was going to be my savior. I felt like it was going to increase my pay because I was like not making very much at all at my other job. And that's kind of why I felt, you know, probably like I couldn't do things on my own. And so I felt like it was going to save me financially. I felt like it was going to give me a new life, going to get me out of the relationship I knew I needed to leave. I didn't want to face the relationship ending myself. And so I thought it was going to be my scapegoat of ending the relationship. I was completely putting my power outside of myself. And so the lesson is to start to really find that place of not believing in the separateness, trusting the divine guidance, even in the chaos, the crumble, the void, trusting that this here, that is a thing. That is a thing to get you to the platform in order to be ready for the next timeline. I'm so grateful that that job had come into my field for so long, like 3 months, to prepare me energetically for the next timeline, to get me to making the decision of getting Arlo. Had I not been in that job interview, I probably would not have got Arlo because I was like, you know, I would have been like going through a breakup and blah, 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 and it would have been the wrong time. But I was like, no, for sure, I can afford a home with a dog, you know, and I can take care of a dog, I can bring him into work, it all works out. It's meant to get you to that platform after making those decisions, you know, with that idea in mind, and then it could change on you. And so I think now more than ever, that exact process, if you're here with me right now, you understand the process. So that exact process is happening like lightning speed, right? I think that like it's that thing that we've been talking about, like when the rocket is about to like take off into the sky, it's like it's doing that. And that's kind of like what our lives are doing. It's like this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way, this camera died. And so yes, it's like this idea, that idea, this idea, that idea, in order for us to just get to where we're meant to go. And in a way, it's nice if it's just an idea. Like you don't actually have to go through the job and, you know, learn the hard way, learn the long way. You don't actually have to, not that this would be the long way, the hard way for me to go to Italy, but like I don't have to go to Italy to then decide that I want to go to Portugal, which is like a long journey. It's like the ideas are, a lot is going on in the mind, a lot is going on in the body, a lot is shaking up, a lot is making the space, a lot is opening us up, super raw, super vulnerable, super in the unknown, super in deep surrender, so that we can be birthed into this new timeline that is going to be, you know, beyond our wildest dreams, especially now because I think almost all of you guys, if not all of you guys, are here for this specific time on Earth, which is the timeline split, which is based off Dolores Cannon's work, is why we came to Earth, was to help in the shift on Earth. And so I think right now you're probably going through a bit of this process because you're meant to enter this new timeline where you are in your fullness, where you are choosing you, where you are remembering your power, where you are embracing that, where you are living in a place that you love, where you are surrounded by people that you love, where you are making money doing something that you love, where your art is your purpose and your creations are your purpose, and you get to follow that and be in that energy and then receive abundance in exchange for that. And it's a beautiful time to be on Earth. And so if I can leave you with anything right now, it's deep surrender, remembering that separation is the greatest illusion, and not getting attached to any ideas that come through right now because they could change rapidly, and allowing yourself to know that in that non-attachment state, it's because you trust that it's going to be even better than your wildest dreams, which we talk about in Dream Life Sleep Hypnosis. It's like choose something that allows the door to be open, rather than like how I was in the beginning of my Dream Life Sleep Hypnosis. I was explaining my Italian home that I was living in, and I was so like attached to Italy, even though part of me was like, I don't know if it's Italy. And so now my dream life sleep hypnosis, when I talk about my living situation, my home, I talk about a beautiful home. I explain the home, what it feels like, you know, all that, but I don't say exact location because I allow it to be better than my wildest dreams. I always, when I manifest, I say I choose this or something that is for even better than I could have ever imagined, and that is for my highest good. Thank you, and so it is. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. That all came together full circle. If you want to leave a comment, you don't know what to say, go ahead and put a wolf emoji. And I've never done this before. If you guys want, let me know where you're from in the comments. I know a lot of you guys are consistently commenting, and I read all your comments, and I'm just curious where you are in the world. So go ahead and put that in the comments. Let's see where we're all coming together from. And yeah, if you guys want to sign up for Dream Life Sleep Hypnosis, linked in the description. Soft launch, linked in the description. My other 21-day programs, my 12-week program. And I'm gonna go take the doggies on a walk. You were so good today. He's finally settling down when it's probably time to leave, but he loves the van. I'm curious how he'll do in this new home if we move into it for a few months. It would just be a few months, and then I would see where the next thing takes us to. So, oh my goodness, you're so cute. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.